I would imagine if folks haven't had conversations with people about safe firearm storage before, they're probably coming in wondering what to expect, even in terms of what folks typically do in terms of home storage of personal firearms. What kinds of situations did you typically encounter in these conversations?
I think it was surprising that we saw a pretty large section of people that were doing things really safe, and then also a pretty large section of people that were doing things in ways that we would characterize as really unsafe. And so there was almost this large divide in people where they would come in doing things really like as safe as they could be, or doing things really unsafe. And so regarding unsafe storage, I think being prepared to hear things like it's stored with one in the chamber, it's on my nightstand, it's ready to go, or even being prepared to hear like there's one loaded in my living room, in my kitchen, in my bedroom, in the entryway. Like, because when that comes up, you don't want to react in a way that's like, oh my gosh, what? How? Why do you have that many? Like, because that can really steer the conversation in a bad direction. So being prepared that some people are going to come in saying they're doing things in a really unsafe manner. I remember one participant saying they had theirs under their pillow. And that was like really hard for me, but like trying to keep like your like game face on, I guess, and not being really reactive to that, and understanding that people are going to come in on a spectrum from things that you really don't want to see to things that are a lot more on the safe end.
Yeah, and on the other side of it, like on the other spectrum, I think there are people who are, like you were saying, Shelby, were doing like pretty safe things already. And I think most of the time that would be if they had a safe already and they had multiple firearms that they stored that way. Usually it wasn't really that hard for them to think about maybe one other step they could take, or at least to consider like a safety plan if they or their loved one were to become suicidal. And I think also, if they had kids, I think majority of the time they were storing their firearms either in a safe or in a hidden high place, and had already had conversations with their kids about firearms. And I think that was also a good avenue to explore with them a bit more too, if it maybe wasn't in a safe, but it was hidden and their kids they think their kids didn't know where it was. It was a good thing to talk about with them.
So it sounds like the take home point is that there isn't one thing to expect. And so you shouldn't walk into the room assuming one thing or the other, that it's going to depend on who they are and what they own and why they own it and who they live with, and how they view firearms with respect to, are they something that bestow risk, or are they something that bestow safety? And so open-mindedness and a willingness to listen sound very much like the key things to bring into the room with you.